commend Mr. President's resolve to ensure the urgent synergy between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Water Resources to ensure adequate irrigation of farmlands that to guarantee all year-round food production.
Key into National Food Security Program to eradicate hunger and poverty in rural communities, President Tinubu tasks state governors.
Smuggling of fuel to our other countries, which is one of the major areas that the President and Commander-in-Chief have directed us to make sure we face them headlong.
Towards enhancing national security, service chiefs appear before House of Representatives as communities displaced by bandits return in Kebbi State. Plus, federal government pledges new dawn for creative industry to grow its potentials. Hello and warm welcome to NTA Network News at 9. I'm Ian Ray, John, and we're live in Abuja. Adiola Kami Akere will join us from Lagos in the course of the bulletin. Thank you for joining us. The economic partnership between Nigeria and Germany witnessed further expansion and strength as two important agreements were signed between both countries' businesses at the 10th German-Nigerian Business Forum. President Bola Tinubu said that with a resilient democracy, Nigeria is well primed to attract foreign direct investments. The president, who witnessed the signing of the two memoranda of understanding on the supply of gas from Nigeria to Germany and another for $500 million worth of renewable energy projects in Nigeria, assured German businesses that with Nigeria's stable political landscape, foreign investment into the country are secure.
Free of all hurdles and hindrances, we have scaled through democratic changes in Nigeria. If that is your fear, it is gone. Now you can bring your money in and out as you wish. Easy in, easy out. If you have any problem, I have one of the most reliable teams that you can think of in Nigeria.
Outlining some of the achievements of his administration, which include his globally acclaimed economic reforms, the president emphasized his commitment to sustaining the reforms and building stronger Nigerian-German relations.
Yes, it could be to do business in Nigeria, in Africa as a whole. But to any foresight and progressive business thinkers, to ignore the largest economy in Africa is not the solution to your progressive side. To be brave in the world of chaos and uncertainty that we have experienced in the past is to assure you that we are definitely going to solve problems, not creating ones. Whatever is the reason for promises of the past not being fulfilled, let's regard that as a nightmare. We will fulfill our promises, all obligations.
Signing of MOUs was between Riverside LNG of Nigeria and Johannes Schulze Energy Import AG of Germany on the gas export partnership, while the other signed pact brought together Union Bank of Nigeria and DWS Group on cooperation in renewable energy. Away from Germany now, a new dawn seems to be set on the horizon for the creative industry as the federal government has promised a total support and a more conducive environment for the sector to grow its potentials. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the renewed hope to the industry at the Art, Culture and Creative Economy Roundtable in Abuja. Musbao Dan Wahab reports.
Hello, Daddy. Hello, Mommy.
From plays on the traveling stage by troops to a $1 million top chart movie, gaining global acknowledgement decade later, the Nigerian creative industry has endured like an orphan from a humble beginning, weathering the storm lonely through rough and tough patches. Creative sector, including media, entertainment, beauty, lifestyle, visual arts, tourism and hospitality, has grown through stages, contributing at its growth level to the nation's economy while also placing the country on the world map. All this apparently through self-supports all along.
What is even more astonishing is that they build their collections of empires with minimal support from the government. You thrive not because of us, but in spite of us. You deserve special commendation. This is why we are here. We are here to apologize to you.
Yet, the industry is not an orphan, as the parent government is back to right the wrong of the past. The harbinger of a renewed hope here, Vice President Kashim Shettima commended the ingenuity of Nigerians in this sector, pledging the critical intervention needed to make the industry a critical hub for the country's socio-economic growth.
It is for us to pave the way for an even brighter, more inclusive and prosperous future for Nigeria's creative economy. For it is through such synergy that we shall continue to ascend to greater heights and cement Nigeria's rightful place as the unrivaled creative powerhouse in Africa. We are going to walk the talk. This is not empty verbosity. We will support you. We will create the enabling environment for you to excel.
This expression of commitment is apparently being backed with action with a roadmap of the Ministry of Arts, Culture and the Creative Economy. In this, the government is leveraging the sector, the nation's human capital and power of culture to create a globally unique brand for Nigeria.
Our objective is to contribute 10% of the nation's GDP, expanding the sectorial GDP to a remarkable 100 billion by the year 2030.
The stakeholders, rather, I'll say, have really done their best over the years, and it's a good thing that the federal government realizes that and is coming on board to push us further.
The Vice President has acknowledged the fact that they need the support and they've not given it. It's just to say that there's a lot more that we'll achieve, and I believe that the time has come.
It's a very good one to sit down. I know there will still be more meetings like this. Sit down and see how they can grow the economy, through the creative industry.
Our industry has been ready for a very long time. I mean, it's safe to say that we've been waiting for the government intervention to come in with more support, and I'm glad that we're getting this kind of support and this kind of intervention.
Nigeria's creative sector is currently worth less than $8 billion, and now the government continues talks with the key players in the industry amongst other strategies to achieve a $100 sector by 2030. From the State House, Musbao Dan Wahab, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has tasked state governors to key into the federal government food security program towards eradicating hunger and poverty in rural communities. This was contained in his message at the opening of the 2023 Agricultural Show in Kefi, Nasarawa State. Musa Aliyu has the details.
The agricultural show symbolized the end of harvest season, showcasing farmers' achievements during the year. This year's harvest came with a mixed reaction from both farmers and consumers. While the consumers are complaining of high cost of produce, the farmers, on the other hand, are looking at the cost of production. It is in the view of this that Nasarawa State Deputy Governor Emmanuel Agbadu called for the need to strengthen commodity markets nationwide.
I commend Mr. President's resolve to ensure the urgent synergy between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Water Resources to ensure adequate irrigation of farmlands that to guarantee all year-round food production. The National Commodity Board is mandated to ensure continuous review of food prices.
The President, in a message delivered by Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, said more attention will be given to agricultural activities. He called on state governments to also do more in empowering their rural farmers.
We also remain committed to promoting and creating synergy between non-governmental organizations and the private sector to enhance efforts at ensuring food security, economic growth, job creation, and poverty reduction in line with the presidential priorities. Our immediate and short-term plans entail developing a standard framework and guide for ease of doing agriculture and food security operations.
The Agric Show, which is a one-week event, is put together by a private sector under the leadership of Senator Abdullahi Adamu, former governor, Nasarawa State. From Kefi, Nasarawa State, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And still on agriculture, cassava processing in Nigeria has just received a boost with the official commissioning and handing over of a modern integrated cassava processing plant to the people of Igbaraoke in Ifedore local government area of Ondo State by the Federal Institute of Industrial Research, Oshodi. Director General of the Institute, Dr. Jume Adamu Tutua, at the commissioning affirmed that the gesture is geared towards enhancing food sufficiency in cassava and the provision of employment to the teeming youths of the area. Toyin Batire reports.
The integrated cassava processing plant is equipped with modern tools and situated in a conducive environment for effective and efficient cassava processing, as the plant requires 10 tons of cassava roots on a daily basis for wealth creation. Director General, Federal Institute of Industrial Research, Oshodi Firo, Dr. Jumai Adamu Tutua, noted that the project is in tandem with President Bola Tinubu's administrative resolve to industrialize and develop the country with indigenous technologies that will be utilized by citizens who are fully equipped and empowered to take the nation to greater economic heights.
It is important to note that this project will collectively, among other things, build a seamless organization that is people-centered and technology-driven, motivated farmers, and a workforce towards self-development and resilience, career growth, job satisfaction, service delivery.
The Olowa and paramount ruler of Igbaraoke is Royal Highness Francis Adefarakomi Agbede, who lauded the initiative, promised judicious use of the plant.
I'm quite convinced that the youth of this community will be fully engaged, which of course has been one of the programs of this federal government.
For the sons and daughters of Igbaraoke, the project will no doubt enhance rural socio-economic development.
We will be working hand in hand going forward with the management and also the engineering arm of Firo to ensure that this great facility delivers.
Create employment, both direct and indirect employment, and also make Igbaraoke food community.
A memorandum of understanding was signed to enrad a partnership between the institute and the town. From Igbaraoke in the federal local government area of Ondo State, Toyin Batire, NTA News.
Heading straight to the National Assembly now, the Senate has adopted a resolution to collaborate with the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation for revision of the laws of the Federation. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the lawmakers are concerned that the exercise was last carried out about 20 years ago.
The lawmakers, in adopting the resolution, emphasize that the non-revision of the laws of the Federation of Nigeria, last conducted in 2004, has led to a situation in which several laws enacted from January 2003 to date remain excluded from the compilation. The motion was raised by Senator Kakashi Lawal.
The continued non-revision has not only left numerous statutes out of the compilation, but also retained many repeal statutes with the attendant confusions and other negative impacts.
Their lordships in the ongoing judges' conference even pointed this out, that it's important that we do the necessary things and then, of course, gazette them and then forward it to them, because sometimes the amendments are not reflected in the acts of Parliament.
Senate passed for second reading a bill seeking the reenactment of the Dishonored Checks Offences Act, sponsored by Senator Sunday Karimi.
The Principal Act prescribes that in case of individual guilty of presenting a dog check, imprisonment of 2 years without option of fine.
This bill now seeks to extend jurisdiction to state high courts and magistrate court, thereby bringing justice closer to our people.
Also passed for second reading is the bill sponsored by Senator Saliu Mustafa, which seeks to facilitate the use of information in electronic form to conduct transactions.
The bill further seeks to protect personal data and facilitate electronic commerce in Nigeria.
Senate President Godswill Akpabio during plenary announced the appointment of Senator Abamuru as minority leader and Senator Ositangu as the minority whip to fill existing vacancies. Senate has confirmed the appointments of the chairman and board members of FIRMA after being screened by the Senate Committee on FIRMA.
The committee recommends that 2 women shall be forwarded and nominated to serve on the board of FIRMA.
In the meantime, Senate has urged the federal government to immortalize and accord state burial to the designer of Nigeria's flag, late Taiwo Akinkunmi, as lawmakers observed a minute's silence in his honor. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Now heading to the Green Chamber, ungoverned spaces as well as inadequate funding, manpower and military hardware are some of the operational challenges militating against the progress of the security forces and the fight against insurgency and other forms of criminality in the country. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and other service chiefs stated this when they appeared at the House of Representatives for sectoral debates on the security situation in the country. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikben brings us details.
The security chiefs filed into the Green Chamber apologizing for their absence at plenary last week. Speaker Tajuddin Abbas explains the rationale for commencing the sectoral debates with the security sector.
It is prioritized in our legislative agenda that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. We are here not to reprimand, but to understand you better. Through this interaction, we aim to foster collaboration in tackling the multiple security challenges that confront us.
The service chiefs highlight counter-insurgency operations to dislodge and neutralize criminals around the country.
Nigeria is now considered a piracy-free nation. This has several implications, both in terms of confidence of investors in the maritime environment within Nigeria, and in terms of even premium on insurance for vessels coming into Nigeria.
We conduct intelligence-based operation to act as stopgap and to ensure that there's no disruption in the troops currently deployed and forwardly poised to combat threats.
They are, however, frank with operational challenges, which they say require more funding and parliamentary approvals.
As of today, the cost of aviation fuel is about 1,150 naira. So that has created a lot of challenges for us because we can only operate when we can fuel the airplanes.
The manpower in the police today is grossly inadequate. Even the criminals know that. The United Nations ratio of 1 to 400 is not attainable in Nigeria as of today. because the ratio in Nigeria is 1 to 1,000.
Creation of defense and security intervention funds. The National Assembly should initiate a bill for legislation that will cater for extra budgetary allocation for the armed forces and police.
What have you done to leverage on the experience and knowledge of our retired personnel?
Which measures, both short and long term, are they taking to combat the situation?
If there is any plan for them to use some political solutions to solve some of these politically motivated security challenges.
Deluge of questions from lawmakers leading to a closed-door session with the security chiefs. At the Committee on Supply, the House considered and approved the 2024 to 2026 medium-term expenditure framework preparatory to the presentation of the 2024 appropriation bill. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA. Time for a break. Please stay. Welcome back. 13 displaced communities attacked by bandits in Zuru Emirate of Kebbi State have returned to their various communities, thanks to the federal and state government's intervention in curtailing insecurity in the area. Correspondent Abdul Jalil Mohammed Bawa visited the areas and filed in this report.
Communities such as Malekachi, Unguwar Dan Sanda, Ayu, Sawade, Unguwar Bakin Gulbi, Kibiya, Kanya, Sakawa, Lugga and Bakin Gulbi, among others, all in Kebbi South, had deserted their communities as a result of kidnapping and banditry activities, which affected the socio-economic activities of the people in the area. But the intervention of the federal and state government in providing security in the area has brought a sigh of relief to the people, as farming and business activities are now taking place without any fear of attack in the area.
In fact, I was once kidnapped on this road, but thank God I'm back to my house I left for 3 years.
Before, I cannot work on my farm, but look at me working freely. I really thank God and the government.
The place you people went now, before if you give me 50 million naira, I will not go there. I was kidnapped twice there. My car was shot twice on that road.
The Emir of Zuru, Muhammad Sani Sami Gomo II, attributed the success to provision of adequate security personnel in the area.
We started witnessing a lot of peace within the emirate. God brought us a new man.
The socio-economic development of the area has been restored. So we are very happy and pray for His Excellency's administration.
The people in the area are optimistic that increasing security personnel will also solve insecurity in part of Niger and Zamfara states. In Bena of Danko Sagu local government area of Kebbi State, Abdul Jalil Mohammed Bawa, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government is calling for a joint intervention to address the plight of the country's fallen heroes, just as it reiterates commitment to their well-being. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, made the call during his decoration of the 2023 Armed Forces emblem by the Nigerian Legion. Tokwe Alabi reports.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, recalled President Bola Tinubu's launch of the Armed Forces and Remembrance Day emblem at the Federal Executive Council meeting with a sense of commitment on why Nigerians should support members of the Nigerian Legion. Members of the Federal Executive Council pledged 50 million, which he said will soon be fulfilled to them. Donations have started in earnest, and here at the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, it is a pledge of 5 million.
You have always done your best. Therefore, it is with solemn heart that I receive you here with your team. I had lost so many during the Civil War. But I'm always proud to say that they died in the line of duty.
National Chairman of the Nigerian Legion, retired Major General Abdul Malik Jibril, said the visit was to decorate the Secretary to the Government of the Federation with the emblem of the 2024 Armed Forces and Remembrance Day while seeking his support.
That these people have made great sacrifices
And that's why we go around within this period to decorate distinguished citizens of this country, and through them to the larger society, and then to appeal for donation for the well-keep of members of families of the fallen heroes.
The Armed Forces and Remembrance Day is celebrated every 15th January to acknowledge the supreme price paid by the armed forces in defending the nation. In Abuja, Tokwe Alabi, NTA News.
In other news, the federal government has reacted to the allegations of the People's Democratic Party and the spokesman of Atiku Abubakar against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The statement indicates that the allegations by the PDP and its defeated presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar assaulted the integrity of the judiciary and made wild and libelous allegations against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In the wake of the poor run of some elected governors of the party at the appeal court, the PDP and former vice president and his spokesman have become overtly desperate to hang their woes on President Tinubu and the judiciary, an important arm of government in Nigeria. The statement averred that in blaming others, Atiku and his party have failed to demonstrate leadership before going public with their weighty allegations, as President Tinubu is a Democrat to the core who has not interfered with the judgment of the judiciary. Under his watch, the PDP governor in Osun defeated the APC at the Supreme Court, and PDP governor in Bauchi also won his case in the appeal court, beating the APC. President Tinubu is also not planning to impose a one-party state, as Atiku has serially alleged, and other allegations which exist only in the imagination of the PDP and Atiku Abubakar. The statement adds that are deliberately aimed at heating up the polity and causing disenchantment in our country. Nigerians are therefore urged to discountenance the malicious allegations by the PDP and its candidate. The statement asserts that the fact remains that President Tinubu's record as a Democrat par excellence and a strong advocate of the rule of law have been globally acknowledged, unlike Atiku Abubakar, who recently confessed about the electoral heist his party executed in the Southwest in 2003, which Tinubu survived out of the 6 governors of the defunct Alliance for Democracy. His record of service as governor, which witnessed giant strides in various facets of the state, was responsible for the dominance of its political structure in Lagos and not by any undemocratic conduct, as Atiku Abubakar wants the public to believe. Similarly, the All Progressives Congress has described the recent statements by the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, and the party in undermining the integrity of the nation's judiciary and as misleading and undemocratic. A statement by APC National Publicity Secretary Felix Morka says PDP and Atiku have not been following the trend of court judgments since the return of democracy in 1999, which have changed so many political landscapes and narratives without preference or ulterior motives. It's cited some judgments that affected APC's victories in Zamfara, Bayelsa, and other parliamentary positions, even as a ruling party, without bringing the integrity of the judiciary to question or maligning the institution. The All Progressives Congress advised the opposition party to display maturity by accepting verdicts of the courts as true reflection of fair play and justice, and not to rubbish any judgment that does not go their way. Looking at other matters now, trust deficits has been identified as responsible for the continuous widening of the gap between the leaders and followers. Amenka Amarachuku reports that the 2023 Annual General Meeting of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, FCT chapter, is creating opportunity to widen conversation on the need for adequate collaboration of relevant stakeholders and citizens' engagement in restoring people's trust in government.
It is the responsibility of the government to create an enabling environment for citizens' participation in nation building, no doubt therefore to put into perspective the roles of citizens' engagement informed this gathering of the NIPR and relevant stakeholders, attention is also on reassessing role by the government and citizens towards economic development, as well as develop the much-needed opportunity for the reposition of the public relations practice in Nigeria.
How well-grounded is the citizen to realize their engagement, their partnership with the state? It's an important issue for going forward, for engagement, for economic development.
And no country can succeed when the citizens are not well informed about government policies and programs.
Most of these policies, if the government can break them down to the citizens, they will understand the direction the government is going, and then they may probably take ownership of these policies.
If we don't put our narratives together, we will not be able to discuss it. So we want to now bring spokespersons, discuss with them, talk with them, and see how best to make use of it.
To serve, must understand what you are doing, and you must also understand what the people you are serving.
The Nigerian Constitution, Section 14, Subsection 2B, as altered, provided that security and welfare of the people shall remain the primary purpose of government.
The AGM and conference will afford the Institute to elect new executives that will steer the leadership of the NIPR FCT chapter for a period of 2 years. In Abuja, Umeka Marachuku, NTA News.
The federal government is adopting a comprehensive approach to addressing the nation's energy need gap as it takes steps to ensure that the public and private sector refineries are brought to efficient production line. Minister of State, Petroleum Resources, Heineken Lokobiri, said this while on a visit to Watersmith Modular Refinery in Imo State. Kingsley Amajiri has the details.
Nigeria's economy is grappling with challenges partly occasioned by the seeming energy sector crisis due largely to dependence on imported petroleum products. The desire to get local production of petroleum products back on stream informed this visit to one of Nigeria's functional modular refineries in Ibigwe, Imo State. The federal government's interest is to see how it can support private sector-driven modular refineries to complement public refineries towards enhancing local production of petroleum products.
And you know, the success story you see here also has the component of NCDMD collaboration with Watersmith. But here we are physically seeing, you know, one that is functional, and we also see the expansion work that is going on, and so we'll do whatever we can, you know, to support them.
For the Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board management, the decision to support expansion efforts at Watersmith Modular Refinery is already yielding positive gains.
This was one of our first projects that we tried to catalyze, and it's been a success story. As you can see, we have produced almost 600 million liters of various products from this refinery. About 20 trucks leave the refinery on a daily basis.
Efforts are in place to expand the modular refinery, currently producing at 5,000 barrels per day to 10,000 barrels per day.
Our goal for our refining capacity is to get to about 2 million tons of products every year.
The Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Oil, also inspected the PTDL Center for Skills Development and Training in Port Harcourt. Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And from Port Harcourt, we head to Lagos, where Adeola is standing by to feed us with more news. Adeola, it's over to you.
Yeah, right. Realizing the dominant role the Nigerian Navy plays in safeguarding the nation's territorial waters beyond the Gulf of Guinea, the Senate Committee on Navy has promised to sustain the momentum with improved budgetary allocation focused on upscaling fleet capacity for increased preference at sea. The chairman of the committee, Benga Daniel, while on oversight visit to the Western Naval Command in Lagos, also said Tongeji Island in Ogun State will soon be occupied by the Navy.
With renewed commitment and investment in maritime infrastructure, the Nigerian Navy has spearheaded a process that has changed the fortune of the once troubled water in the Gulf of Guinea. Sustaining the momentum is not just key to economic prosperity, but equally important to safeguarding the maritime ecospace from threats. This the Senate Committee on Navy is aware of, and this visit to the Western Naval Command is to offer legislative support needed to strengthen capacity.
Part of what we want to do, talking about budgeting, is to put emphasis on the maintenance and repairs of some of these vessels. We are going to push that there is spare part acquisition.
The chairman of the committee said areas of infrastructural gap will be addressed, starting with the provision of a jetty at the seaward end of Badagry.
When you look at some of what they face, especially with people who are doing illegal bunkering, illegal smuggling, all manner of illicit thing that's going on, without a jetty in Badagry, it's like it's an uphill task.
The flag officer commanding Western Naval Command sees the oversight visit as a morale booster for its officers and men.
I am more passionate about fighting smuggling across the Nigerian-Benin border, and the promises I got from the Senate Committee will help us to achieve our mandate in that regard, particularly with the occupation of Tongeji Island.
Inputs and observations from the oversight visit will assist the committee in prioritizing area of needs for the Navy, especially in next year's budgetary provision. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Adequate arrangement is already in place for traffic diversion around the closed Adekunle ramp on the 3rd Mainland Bridge as repair work progresses to meet the project's timeline. Joel Bukuola reports that road users unanimously agree that 3rd Mainland Bridge is due for comprehensive repair but wants speedy completion to ease their pains.
After a series of palliative repairs on the 3rd Mainland Bridge, a comprehensive repair is a solution to fix the potholes and replace some expansion joints and parapets to give the bridge a brand new look. This necessitated the closure of the Adekunle ramp for commencement of comprehensive repairs. Construction work is being intensified on that section of the bridge, which has been closed to traffic. While many avoid the route, those who have no choice now have to go the extra mile.
For you to have access to that area, you have to pass through what's it called, Bangrove, Modular, to able to have access to that area. It's quite very difficult, but I hope maybe in a couple of few months, I think that place should be done.
For these commuters, the repair is long overdue, while the envisaged traffic gridlock has been minimal.
We have noticed a little traffic towards the Adekunle axis, but then as of yesterday, there was a little traffic inward this side. But then I can say for a fact the traffic is not really as consistent as it used to be.
Respondents called for better management of the alternative route. Federal Controller of Works in charge of Lagos, Olukorede Keisha, says the repair is being done in phases in order not to completely obstruct vehicular movements.
We're thinking of starting the main deck by December 1st. That's the thinking now among the stakeholders, so that before Christmas, the contractor will have been done even with a bound, like Shokito Island will have been done with that before Christmas.
The comprehensive repair is expected to address most of the teething problems on the 3rd Mainland Bridge. In Lagos, Joel Bukuola, NTA News.
And those are the reports from Lagos. Damien in Abuja is just waiting by to give us the latest from the world of business. Damien, over to you.
Good to have you join us at this time. It's that time we'll talk business. I will start by telling you that the federal government withdraws 1,633 mining licenses. Minister of Solid Minerals, Dr. Dele Alake, says there's a new sheriff in town. It's no longer business as usual, as those defaulting in payment of annual service fees, royalties, and taxes, in addition to those involved in illegal mining, should beware, as security agents are in search for those, and the continuous revoking of licenses will continue to allow space for serious investors to invest. Alake revealed this to journalists in Abuja.
Anything for 1,500 naira. And they still refuse to pay. So that brings us to revocation of 1,633 mineral titles. Section 11 and 12 of the Mining Act 2007 states in clear terms as follows. A mineral title shall become liable to revocation where the holder thereof has failed to pay the prescribed fees. 2. In case of default of payment of the annual service fee due to the MCO, the MCO shall give a 30-day written default notice to the defaulting party, and if payment is not effected during that period, the MCO shall record the default and revoke the mineral title.
Government at all levels in Nigeria, as well as other countries in Africa, cannot articulate various policies nor achieve the much-needed economic growth on the continent without the necessary data and modernized statistical systems. Statistician General of the Federation, Adeyemi Adeniran, said this at a roadwalk in Abuja as part of activities to commemorate the African Statistics Day for this year, as the National Bureau of Statistics champions the celebration with focus on modernizing data ecosystem to accelerate the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. And moving on, Nigerian equities appreciate marginally by 0.08% as the all-share index closes at 71,066.64 basis points. A total of 491.3 million shares and 6,549 deals, corresponding to a market value of 3.221 million, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 37% improvement in volume, but 26% decline in turnover. The market capitalization is 39.1 trillion naira. Unity Bank recorded the highest volume of traded shares, followed by Universal Insurance Company and the Mutual Benefits. That is Business News. Network News continues after this break.
Welcome back. Good news for working mothers in the FCT as the federal government unveils a model workplace nursery and creche to take care of children while their mothers concentrate at work. Momso Damian Dati has the details.
I hereby commission this workplace nursery by renaming it after one of our farmers' matron, Her Excellency, Mrs. Victoria Gawan, and now to be called Dr. Mrs. Victoria Gawan National Model Workplace Nursery.
The federal government, as part of its promises to enhance women's productivity, has come up with this model edifice. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu represented says,
and we cannot achieve renewed hope for Nigeria without focusing on the future of our nation. And the future of our nation are our children. To bring the babies close to their mothers so that mothers will continue to work.
Mrs. Nana Kashim Shatima, who stood in for the wife of the president, Oluremi Tinubu, noted,
the establishment of the workplace nursery stands as a testimony to this administration's dedication to creating an inclusive and supportive environment for working mothers and nursing mothers.
As for babysitting crèche, we're adding nurseries 1, 2, and 3 to groom the children to be so okay before they now enter into the primary school. And we're equally looking at having women and children's hospitals.
The model crèche, located behind the police force headquarters, is a comfortable, secured and standard place with equipped hands to ensure the optimal care of children and will serve all interested working mothers in the FCT. Momso Damien Ati, NTA News.
That's NTA Network News tonight. Have a good night.